What's up, YouTube? Bobbles and Ball Cards back with another video. It's Wednesday, October 6th, and I hope you all have been doing very well. Hope you've had a good week so far. Yeah, hope everybody out there is safe, happy, and healthy. I was going to get on and record these videos separately, but actually I felt like doing this live would be fun, and I like getting on chatting with you guys. So if you're around, say hello. I will post this link in the comments section. That way you can go and read the full story. It's a good read, pretty long, but I thought it was very interesting, and so I wanted to get on and share it with everybody. It's from 2020. I actually stumbled across it this evening, and I thought it was really cool. So, what's up, Carolina? How you doing, brother? One thing I found reading this is everyone is correct when it comes to grading as far as the top 3 grading companies. But there was actually some information in here that I did not know. PSA wasn't the first grading company. That actually surprised me. So anyway, I was going to go through, discuss some of it, point some things out. Again, it's always fun to learn about the history of the hobby. Learn, the more we learn, the more we know. The more we know, the more we can share, and the more we can be successful. But this was by Sports Collectors Digest. A guy named Greg Bates did the article on July 9th, 2020. And it's history of card grading. PSA, BGS, and SGC are dominating the card grading industry that took off in the late 1990s. So, if you go through here, it starts off talking about PSA. It says they, launched in 91. They were dedicated to grading cards, but it wasn't, right here it says wasn't getting much interest. And right here they actually talked to the 3 owners, CEOs, whatever you want to call them. Obviously Joe Orlando is no longer there. But he said that he knows people that worked with PSA back then, and they were actually considering shutting the company down, which is kind of crazy to think about when you look at where PSA is today. But anyway, so it goes on, it talks about in 98, and we all know what happened in 98 with Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, the home run race. It revived baseball, and obviously it, according to this, it also revived sports cards in a big way, and it also put a big push for card grading, or the hobby. It also talks about how the internet, which I graduated in 98, so I distinctly remember, we actually had classes to teach us how to use the internet. Was kind of crazy to think about back then. But it talks about how the internet was born, and then eBay was 3 years old. How about that? 3 years old. eBay had only been around for 3 years. And so, right here it says the phenomenons helped catapult the grading industry. And then it says, Orlando says he thinks all of it happened at the same time. It was a perfect storm. Now, what's interesting to think about that, you had all of these pieces that came together to create this storm for grading. And then we've talked about it. 2020, we had the pandemic. We had people getting back into cards. We've had Zion, Luka, Trey Young, the basketball classes. You had Vegas Dave buy the Mike Trout. I mean, just so many things you can look back on and say, it was kind of a perfect storm. So it's kind of interesting to note that in 98, there was a perfect storm of situations and scenarios that happened that boosted card grading. And then in 2020, a lot of things happened. Gary Vee, you know, all them guys, that happened, and it kind of boosted where we are today. And there's a lot of similarities to some things that they say in here that I found really interesting. So here it talks about how between 91 and 98, PSA had only graded roughly 1 million cards. You know, what are they doing now? Almost, 200,000 a week? In 7 years, they had only done 1 million. Another crazy thing to think about. And then it says, from that point to the present, they graded at least 1 million or more every year, and now it surpasses the 2 million mark each year. So they're now doing each year, damn near each month it seems like, what they did in their first 7 years. And then it goes on, you know, here's the owner of SGC, Dave. He talks about how it blew up. SGC opened in 98 right here. You know, he talks about how he's seen the blow up, going to shows, you'd see no graded cards, and then it just started, you know, they started becoming a thing. This guy here, Derek Grady, it said he was there when the doors opened. He had 2 stints with SGC, and now he works at Heritage, where he's now the sports vice president and director of grading. He talks about how when SGC opened, they were the only competition to PSA, and they were swamped immediately. They were months behind as soon as they opened. There's another interesting situation that's very similar what we're seeing here today in 2021. CSG opened their doors up, a reputable company, and they immediately got months behind. So it's kind of funny how all of this stuff is recirculating back. You know, 20 plus years later, we're seeing some of the same things happen that happened back then. So, he said they went from 3 graders to 20 graders in a matter of months. And then right here, a swarm of other grading services popped up overnight in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Hall of Fame pitcher Raleigh Fingers even started his own company, Class AA Investment Grade. Now, I did a video a while back talking about the pop-up companies, and it offended some people. You know, I don't remember if I called them pop-up or fly-by-night or whatever you want to call it, but it offended people because they thought that I was using that as a knock to the other companies. This has happened before. It's happened before. All of these companies opened when there was a big major boom in something, but they didn't last. And that's what I was talking about in that video. You know, I wasn't saying none of them would last, but I was heeding caution that, you know, and showing examples of all these new companies that were just opening, and just sharing that this has happened before. And didn't want people getting, you know, trapped into sending cards thinking that this company was going to be adding value and that they were going to, you know, we need all these companies and that they would be around. It's happened before. So anyway, you know, you had the explosion where once grading became profitable, you had people getting a slab machine and grading out of their basements with no qualifications. And then again, he says right here, since then, all of those businesses have gone out of business. I can't even name all the companies that were out there. And it's a similar scenario today. I don't even know all the new ones that are out there. And who knows, will they last or will it be a repeat of this entire thing? That's why this article was very, very interesting to me, because it has so much recycled history of what we're seeing in sports cards this very day, and this was in the 90s. So anyway, it goes on here, talks about Beckett, how they were founded in 84 with the magazines. We all know Beckett magazine, and then they expanded to Open grading in 1999. Now something else that surprises me a lot, people I guess just don't look up the research. A lot of people think Beckett has been around just as long as PSA and that SGC is the new kid or whatever. SGC's actually been around longer than Beckett, believe it or not. And in fact, there's something in here that talks about how SGC is actually the original company has actually been around longer than PSA, and that I did not know about. So that was interesting to find out. But anyway, you know, it goes in here talking about Beckett's history. They were the big... The vice president of Beckett said PSA was the big gal on the block. It's still a great company, but it was one that had a lead. Beckett had the name because it had the magazine. They were playing catch up, trying to create a business, all this stuff. So anyway, you know, I'm not going to sit here and read you the whole article. I just want to browse through it with you guys. Here, you know, it talks about they're the three. This is the interesting part. So, Alan Hager, who started AccuGrade Sports Card Authentication in 1984, is thought to be the first to start a grading company. So, the original OG card grading company is actually believed to have came out in 1984. That's crazy to think about, and I've never heard anybody talk about that. I found that very interesting. We're always used to hearing PSA was the first one to open. Apparently this company came out 7 years prior to PSA, and then interesting enough, PSA bought their slab design off of this company. Along with his coin grading business ACG, Hager patented the arrowhead holder design that PSA would later purchase. So that PSA slab that everybody covets, PSA didn't even design it. This guy, Alan Hager, who had a company back in 1984, the OG, to everyone's knowledge, is who designed PSA's holder. So, interesting fact, and that's why I wanted to share all this with you guys. Orlando remembers visiting an ASA booth at a card show where the company certified its own cards for sale. I don't know exactly what the business model back then, but it was certainly different than some of the companies that stood the test of time. So he's basically saying this ASA company... I guess they graded their own cards and sold them, whereas PSA, BGS, SGC grades other people's cards. Now, I'm not one to sit here and tell you guys if they grade their own cards. I don't know. I'm sure if they do, they're not involved in the process, I would assume. But anyway. And then here, it says Superlative Baseball Card Certification, SBC, was another one of the original card grading companies in the 1980s. The pricing increases were crazy, it seemed to me at the time. Foreman, which is Dave, now it's nothing. The premiums on graded cards from day one were big. SBC ended up selling to coin company NGC, and I'm pretty certain, I'm pretty certain on this. NGC, and I've told you all this in a video before, I'm pretty sure they are the company that is under the CSG, CGC umbrella. Anyway, and then that was owned by the guys who started SGC. And then Foreman, Dave, he acquired SGC around 2003. So what that's saying is SGC, the original company, this SBC, where it all started and bloomed, actually started out in the 1980s, which is really crazy. I knew that the SGC company was originally owned by the parent company of CSG, CGC, all of them, and then Dave purchased it. But I never knew that it was actually owned by a company even prior to that. So that was really interesting to me. And it just goes to show you can always find new information, and a lot of the stuff shared out there isn't always accurate or believed, because if I hadn't have been Googling stuff this evening, I would have never came across this article. So anyway, right here, this section, they talk about the need for the third-party system. It was talking about how when they went to shows, a dealer might say his card was mint. The person buying it would say, nah, it has a bent corner, it's not mint. And it was just this battle back and forth. What is the condition of the card? And we did that as kids with our friends. We would try to make a trade, and we'd try to get the first column in Beckett, and they wanted the second column in Beckett, or you go to the card shop and they wanted to give you the low value instead of the high value. It makes all the sense in the world. It was hard to actually determine which row in that Beckett magazine that your card actually was valued at, because we had nothing but our own personal opinion, and our cards were always better condition than anybody else's. They had to be, they were gem mint. But anyway, it goes through there talking about that, and how they were going through the shows and all that stuff. Joe Orlando even says here, what I mean by that is, look, not every 7, not every 8, not every 9 is exactly the same. There's several differences even within the same grade, but it gives consumers and dealers and auction houses a basis to work from. What he's saying there is, all of our 10s aren't necessarily the same. They're not created equal, but it has that on the label. So when we list it on eBay, or we take it to a card show, or Golden Auctions puts it up, they don't have to say, sharp corners, okay centering, whatever. They can say it's a 10, or it's a 9, or it's a 7. And then it's based on our opinion. Is it a good 9? Is it a good 10? So that's interesting that the guys at the top are even understanding. But yeah, this is a very interesting article. Again, it's very long. Very, very long. It's something that, I wanted to share with you guys. It talks about how grading has evolved. He actually admits that in the early days, PSA did not grade anywhere as strict as they do today. And I know a lot of us joke and question PSA's grading today. But they actually admit in this article that PSA was not nearly as stringent on their grading as they are today. So I guess they have updated their standards. Right here, I think it was this one. Yeah, right here, it talks about PSA and how they kind of bloomed, and what kind of set them apart once grading evolved to where it is. And it makes a little sense. They said they wanted to be, and it's funny because the guy that talked about Fanatics said, they wanted to be the one-stop shop. Well, that was PSA's plan as well. They wanted to do your cards, your autographs, your memorabilia, your bats, your balls, all that stuff. They wanted to do it all for for all collectors. Right here, if I own autographs or bats or photos or cards or packs or tickets or whatever, they wanted to do it all. They wanted people to send all of their stuff to them, and they wanted the market. And I have to give them credit. It was smart. Here it talks about the grading scales as for VGS to 1 to 10. It says PSA didn't start their half-point scale until 2008. That's something else I did not know. I thought they had always had the half-point scale, but they didn't start that until 2008. Talks about BGS having the subgrades. It goes down here. It talks about SGC. It says for their first 20 years, they had a 1 to 100 scale. And then it was 2018 when they switched to the 1 to 10 scale. And Dave talks about how it made things easier. It made it more simplified. And that it was better received. This article, this section here, Vintage versus Modern, it talks about how PSA and SGC's always been the go-to for vintage. That BGS wanted vintage market space, but they never really got it. Dave talks about how when they started seeing modern cards, he even says it here himself, if you can grade pre-war and 19th century cards, you can grade anything. That was from the Grady. Let's see. Percentages. This was interesting because I know some of the people out there that do the PSA weekly updates, they have the little pie graph thing. I don't really... I watch them sometimes, but just because I like data. And I think this has changed. This was a typo because they have baseball and baseball. I don't know if this has changed and if this was 50% baseball, 14% basketball, or if it was 50% basketball, 14% baseball. I would assume it was baseball and then basketball and then non-sports and then football, and 10% is for the other categories. But I don't know. The reason I say that is BGS, their high number is baseball and then basketball. So this was kind of interesting because it shows the breakdown on sports, non-sports, and everything else. Right here, this was interesting. It talks about how they actually, even though they're competitors, they appreciate each other and they actually talk to each other and say when there's issues going on. They want each other to succeed, but they want to be the best, if that makes any sense. It's like good sportsmanship in a sport. You don't want to see the guy get hurt, but you want to win the game. So they actually talk about how they do communicate. They do talk about when there's issues arising, how things are going, and I guess how to improve things so they all three can stay successful to keep the ball rolling. Now, I guess BGS has went to another sandbox because, as we've seen, they're not really putting out much information for the consumer. And the last update they ever did was kind of snarky towards the other companies, so to speak. So maybe BGS, they're the pissed off kid in the cool kids group. But anyway, this was a really cool article. Again, I'll link this in the comments. Actually, I'll just share it right here, and then I'll put it in the comments. Paste. There's the link if you guys want to read it all. It was a very interesting article. There was stuff that I never had heard anybody talk about. A good history from guys that have been in this. There was something where is it at? Let me see. Where is it at? I was talking about the graders. Here's the part where PSA, in the early days of PSA, cards that were graded an 8 for the most part, now if you cracked them out and resubmitted, they would grade lower. So it's talking, they said the standards had gotten tighter. Oh, right here. So this talks about the graders. As of early April 2020, PSA employed 25 full-time raw card graders and a few in training, while Beckett had about 15 senior graders and 3 to 4 junior level graders who are being trained to move up the company's pipeline. SGC, Dave talks, I don't remember where it's at in here. Right here. Since SGC is the smallest of the three leaders in grading, Foreman banks on his graders being extremely consistent in what they do. We have almost no grader turnover. One of our graders has been here for 20 years. Now, I know there was talks when the SGC video was done with SCI, and there's been talks about AI grading, and I know even Refractor has said SGC needs to hire graders and people with experience. He's saying here, now granted this was in July of 2020, I don't know if it's the same scenario, but he said one of the graders had been there for 20 years. It's consistency. You can spend time on the things. From a business point of view, we can give great customer service, which a lot of people can't do. And I think our turnaround times far exceed anyone else. So that's good to hear that Dave has actually kept the same thought throughout the entire time of owning and running this business. And I appreciate that. He hasn't let the money get to his head. He hasn't let the boom of grading get to his head. He's tried to keep it simple. He's tried to keep the company on its same platform, its same, values as since he started it. And that is something I highly respect, because sometimes these companies, they might start making that money and they just don't care. So I was really glad to read that. But anyway, very good read. I just wanted to share that with y'all. I actually stumbled across it just on Google. So it's funny how just sometimes looking stuff up, you can find different things. Let me go here and see what everybody's talking about. Jay Michelin says, speaking of Swarm, he is here. What is up, Jay Mish? Ryan says, avoid HGA like the plague. I think CGC is the only one that has a chance of staying because of their history. Can't speak on PSA yet because I'm at 11.5 months on my 45-day submission. JB's card break says, Fanatics will likely use CSG as their main grader. They own both the rights to the players and CCG. From my understanding, CCG has infrastructure and tech that is comparable to PSA in terms of scale. I believe Beckett and FGC would have to triple in size to be comparable level or be able to gain similar capital. Okay, so I am not going to get into the speculation room, really. I will give you some thoughts on some potential things that we could go to Vegas and throw money down on, and it would all be gambling. Because I see video after video. My video has Fanatics in it, but I didn't get on here to talk about what's going to happen with Fanatics. There is enough videos out there of all of the professionals telling you guys what Fanatics is going to do. I don't know how the hell these people know that, but they all seem to know what Fanatics is going to do. My thoughts are this. The guy mentioned grading. He mentioned a source for direct-to-consumer. He mentioned a selling platform. He mentioned a storage place. Okay. Option one would be to partner. You got guys flowing with cash. Partner with the collectible group that purchased PSA. Reason I say that, PSA also owns Golden. You have a storage facility, you have an auction place, you have a grading company that, by the way, is opening a new facility. You have mad cash flow between both of the companies. You have a reputation and name there. That would be big. The other option is, like you mentioned, JB, CSG. It's the one that makes the most sense because the connections are there. But with CSG not even being able to, they're like 130 some days already on bulk. Their resale value isn't really up to snuff. I can't remember the name of the parent company. Do they want to give up the comic book side? Do they want to branch off the sports card side again? Because they have comics, coins, currency, all that stuff as well. They would essentially be branching out the card space again. And then you're still looking for the storage place and the selling place. So I don't know. Again, I haven't done these videos because I don't know. I'm not the guys behind the curtain. I'll tell you another thing that I had a thought of. We want to speculate? Let's speculate. They said they want to buy a company, one of the card companies. What if they bought Upper Deck? Think about it. What if they bought Upper Deck? Upper Deck has a relationship with ComC. Well, there's your storage facility. There's your selling platform. And Upper Deck has had exclusive rights and deals with grading companies before. So Upper Deck would know how to work that. You think about it, they just brought back the designer for Metal Universe. You'd have Exquisite, you'd have SP Authentic, you would have all that stuff. And, oh, by the way, Upper Deck owns the license to hockey. So then you would have Fanatics having baseball, football, basketball, and they would inherit hockey by buying Upper Deck. So I thought, hey, that might make sense. Do I know what's going to happen? No, I don't. I'm not going to pretend to know. Personally, there might be a whole brand new grading company come out just for Fanatics. Maybe they want to do this shit on their own. They want all the money. They want to cut the distributors and everybody out. Why waste money or spend money or use another company? Why not do it all themselves? Then they get full cut. So, I don't know. My whole Fanatics thing was a thought I had, was something that I wanted to share. Again, I don't know what's going to happen. But I was thinking about it. Us people, and I see Ryan's on here. I know Ryan loves baseball. I know he likes prospecting. I had a thought. In 5 years is when all this is supposed to take over. In Bowman Chrome right now, and we got Bowman Draft coming up, you know, the Bowman product lines will continuously be coming out. But in Bowman Chrome right now, and I've bought into some breaks, you know, playing around with it. I've been buying the Red Sox. I kind of like this Miguel Bleis kid. His numbers look pretty good. He's 17. He's 17. We know a lot of players don't hit the bigs until they're 21, 22, 23 years old. In 5 years, Fanatics will have the MLB license. If they don't buy Topps, then these players won't have Topps flagship rookie cards, which will be the first time in 70 plus years that a player won't have a Topps rookie card. So I was thinking, and I could be completely wrong. Maybe they buy Topps and this is all for nil. But I was thinking, over the next few years, you might want to pick up some of these young kids, Bowman Chrome firsts, not just because Bowman Chromes, you know, they've always been good, but these guys may never have a Topps rookie card. If you really think how long it could take for these guys to hit the majors, this could be the last Topps Bowman branded owned product that these guys have. And as collectors, especially those that value and have loved Topps for so long, this could be the card that they much, much rather prefer, considering we don't know what kind of stuff Fanatics is going to put out there. So it was something that I thought about last night. You know, like I said, Bleis is 17. 5 years, he'll be, you know, in that 22, 23 range. He's in the Dominican League right now, rookie league. So it was just something I thought about. Again, it could be all for nil. They could go buy Tops or, you know, whatever. Maybe they all just merge together and be one big happy family. Who the hell knows? But it was just something. Keep your eyes out. Listen to things. If, you know, it's just something that this could be the time. Pick a few of them up, even if it's just the base or a color or a refractor or something. Toss it aside. And let's see where things are in 5 years. But it was just something I thought about, and I wanted to share it with you guys. As far as the Fanatics speculation, opinion stuff, guys, I don't have a freaking clue what's going to happen, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend to tell you that I do. I can listen to the same interviews y'all do. I can have the same thoughts that y'all do. It doesn't matter. We don't know till the people pay the cash and the 5 years, you know, comes and goes. That's when we'll know what actually is going to happen. JV said, I didn't think about it, but the star rookies could get big if Upper Deck comes back. Yes, sir. Star rookies are already, young guns are big. You would have PMGs back since Upper Deck has Metal Universe. You know, you would have Exquisite. You would have SP Authentic. You would have SPX. You would have Ultimate Collection. So yeah, they have every base covered with Upper Deck. And again, like I said, Upper Deck does have a deal currently with ComC. But you know, that was just something I thought about. It. That would be a purchase that knocked off a lot. Because they get the hockey rights as well. Plus Marvel. Upper Deck has Marvel. Which is, you know, obviously big now with comics and everything else. So, but again, I have no clue. I have no clue. It's just little things, and I don't get on here and do a video and tell y'all what's spinning up in my brain all the time. I might discuss it with people in a private chat or something like that, but I don't really, I don't really get on here and do the videos with that. Tonight's video was simply to share this article with you guys because I found it was very, very interesting. Had a lot of history to it. Things that, you know, so many people get on here and talk about grading, and this is coming from the guys that run the companies. And it had a lot of history to it. The Fanatics portion of this video was just to talk about BOWMAN Chrome. But JV made, you know, the comments, so I was just talking in reference to that. So Sean says 5 years away is an eternity. Hell yes, brother. 5 days almost seems like an eternity anymore, man. I'll tell y'all, I made a post in the group yesterday, and I want to thank everybody here too. It blows my mind. Yesterday was 1 year since I lost my grandmother, and I look back on it and I was like, man, it doesn't feel like we've had a Facebook group for a year. It doesn't feel like I've really done this YouTube channel for a year. It doesn't feel like we've done group subs for over a year. A year has flown by, and you know, thank you to all of y'all that get on here and chat and talk and talk in the group, message me privately, text, all of that stuff, man. Thank you all for being friends with myself and each other. Not even just for me. It's great to see the community come together. I seen there was a big trade posted in our group today from 2 members. Awesome to see. So yeah, thank you guys. I say it all the time, but I'll never stop saying it because I really do appreciate all of you. And I'm glad that we've built a community that is, I'm gonna toot my own horn, as awesome as it is, man. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for tonight. Thank you all for getting on. I just wanted to do this live so we could, I could share that article and everything. And I hadn't been on just chatting with you guys for a while. I hope y'all have a great night, man. We got Thursday and then Friday, and then we are back to the weekend. Anyone that's joined the sales group, I will try to get some more up. I'm not going to flood that group, you know, just every night or whatever. I'll put stuff up here and there. And then on the weekends, as I have time, I'll post more and more just to keep it flowing through. But I'm not going to do like 20 posts a day or something like that, because it'll just get flooded and everything. And I don't want people just thinking that they got to spend either. But to those that have been in there, that have picked some stuff up, thank you. I hope you're having fun with it. But anyway, have a great night, guys. Love you all. Thank you. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And until the next video, I'm out.